Auburn rivals. Your players have been talking about looks, about giving penalties for not celebrating after turnovers, interceptions, blah, 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 blah. Where did that idea come from?
Ooh, that's a good question. I probably don't remember the origin of it. I think, as coaches, we all take bits and pieces from those we've been around and coached with. But it's been that way for a while. I just really believe in that as a coach. I think, as a staff, we all do of, on defense, it starts with effort. You got to get hats to the ball. And, effort can make up for a lot of things. It's never going to be perfect. So someone misses a tackle, it's not as big of a miss if there's guys running the ball that are right there. Someone, misses an assignment out of their gap. Again, if there's guys flying to the ball, those mistakes don't show up quite as big.
We'll go here on the right.
Hey, DJ. Hughes talked about the way that you coach defense, and he said it reminds him a lot of some of the better offensive minds he's been around in terms of just the multiplicity of your defense and your ability to kind of boil it down and communicate it well. Would you agree that you maybe have notes of I guess some better offensive minds in the way that you try to coach your defense, and then I guess just in terms of the multiplicity and the communicativeness, just what would you attribute that to?
I just think in the game nowadays, you've got to be multiple because of the types of offenses we're facing and the way the tempo is going. Meaning, most teams don't huddle anymore. They line up. They want to see what you're in, and then the coordinator's making a call. I think that'll probably be even more prevalent now with the earpiece, where they're going to see what you're in, and then you'll be telling the quarterback what they want to do with it. And so, to me, you've got to present multiple looks. At the same time, there's got to be a way to kind of streamline that and communicate well with your players, because if you're too multiple and you're making mistakes out there, I think on defense that shows up a lot more. I mean, mistakes turn into big plays and possibly touchdowns. And so, we've worked really hard to find a way to be multiple, show multiple looks, but also, create, we say create same as for our players, meaning this call is the same as this. So if it's a couple different things that are the same as for a guy, I think he can handle it. He's just memorizing what the call is, but those are the same techniques you're asking him to do. And you can present different looks for the offense.
DJ, in your experience, what does it take for a true freshman to be able to play in your defense early? And you've got some guys that maybe have the ability right away, but just kind of what sets those guys apart.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back, we've had true freshmen play at different spots, various spots, just about everywhere we've been. I would never limit a guy to say, well, he's a freshman, and that'd be the reason why he could or couldn't do something. But I think, okay, so generally for a true freshman, he's got to have the opportunity. He's got to be at a position where, there's some sort of opening or guys are competing for that spot. And I think the other thing is, usually a lot of times lies with their mental maturity. It's the handling of so many different things. When you're at college the first time, you're starting classes, there's all the other things away from home that are different. And the guys that are mentally mature enough to handle that kind of with time management and those sorts of things, I think then they can handle on the field better. Some guys are talented enough and it can help you, but their life is such a mess. It's like you're trying to get that all in line because you don't know what you're going to get from them when they're on the field. And I think oftentimes, everyone obviously looks at what's on the field, but sometimes it's what's off the field is trickling in.
I will stay in that row.
Coach, the pass rush is vital. What can you say about who could be the key contributors this year providing a pass rush for Auburn?
Yeah, I've been pleased with our guys throughout training camp and being able to generate a pass rush with 4, sometimes even 3. I think those guys up front, J-Mac and Keldrick for sure are guys that everyone here knows and have played. And they've had really good off seasons, really good training camps. I think Keyron coming in really helps us. I think he's done a great job, and he's a guy that can win one-on-one. And a lot of those young guys too, Amaris and Jamonte, those guys are all guys that when you get them one-on-one situations have been effective, and we're gonna need them to be. I think anytime you can create a pass rush, affect the quarterback, and get them off the spot with not having the pressure all the time to do that, it's very helpful for the defense. And so we're going to count on those guys and have different packages where they line up in different places to be able to do that.
We're going to stay in that row and go to Bill.
On the back end, you were talking about liking to play as many players as you can.
Who do you feel comfortable with now in the secondary as you're week and a half out?
Yeah, it's we're still working very hard to create that depth with those guys, both outside of the corner spots as well as inside. And I think when I say depth too, it's position multiplicity too. Like, you know, to be able to be in a nickel package or a dime package and have those guys, you know, learn more than one spot and be able to bounce around. And so, you know, Coach Kelly, Coach Crime, those guys do a great job with them in the back end. We are going to play multiple guys back there. We feel we have enough talent to do that back there. And so, you know, for us, then it's honed in on what guys, you know, what each guy can handle. You know, sometimes physically they can handle doing multiple things, but it's okay mentally. Are we putting too much on this guy to learn more than one spot? Those are the things right now that we're kind of fine-tuning and going through as we approach a game week to say, okay, now we get into a game plan and it's really detailed and narrowed down as to what we're doing. What can this guy handle and learn?
You mentioned Morris and Jamonte. Freeze has mentioned previously that he's not sure how useful a redshirt is nowadays, especially with talented freshmen like that. Is that sort of a helpful component for you? Have you, as a coaching staff, maybe talked about, you don't need to worry about that if they can help you 5 or 6 plays, just get them in the game? I'm interested to kind of know your perspective on that.
Yeah, you know, honestly, it's not like a real conversation we've had to this point of redshirting. To me, it's like any guy that can help us and can play, like we need to utilize them. That's in all 3 phases of the game, right? Offense, defense, special teams. And, you know, certainly there's a long list of ways the landscape of college football has changed in terms of, you know, all the things we can go into. So that being one of them as well. You know, what does that really look like in terms of a guy redshirting? And so, you know, I think usually we make those decisions later in the year, and maybe you get the game after game 4 if a guy's played or not, what we're doing, and have those conversations. But we want all of our guys preparing to play and help the team, and anyone that can do that, we're certainly going to utilize.
Right, Philip in the back. Back here.
DJ, you've obviously been through this league a few times. If you just talk about the challenge of the offensive coordinators you go up against, in addition to the players, obviously, but the offensive coordinators and how you prepare differently for different guys.
Yeah, I mean, you know, listen, I think this conference is the best football in the country, and so it attracts the best players, I feel, in recruiting. For the most part, you're recruiting the top level players. And I think it's the same for coaches. You're going to get the top level coaches that want to, you know, everyone that's a competitor, whatever field you're involved in, you want to compete at the highest level. And so, I mean, we have that. I think yeah, there's you know, talented coordinators, and you know, week in and week out, those challenges are different as to what you face. But obviously, all these guys are, you know, very good at what they do, and they present issues for us. And I think, again, the way the game's going, the communication of, I think, presents some issues on the defense as well. And those are all things that we're, you know, continue to work through. But it's a great challenge. It's something we embrace every week.
All right, we have time for a couple more. Ainsley in the back.
Coach, question about the helmet communication. Have you guys kind of nailed down who are going to kind of be the players, you know, with the units in their helmets, and have you guys experienced any kinks, or I mean, just how's that experiment or the newness going on that front?
Yeah, we have. The kinks are they told me sometimes I'm too loud in their ear. So I gotta work on that. You know, there's a couple ways of saying the same thing. It may sound differently, but I don't know how much that on the defensive side that it really changes things. I think it does assist and maybe helps a little bit with communication, but we can't totally go to that's our communication to the players on the field. Just again, most teams don't huddle. We can't huddle. So I think we're different from the program from that aspect. But we've been working on that since really back in spring, and kind of I feel like worked out a lot of the kinks in it, and kind of how we want to do it. And so, you know, some of that may change as we get in the season, maybe, but we've worked on it a bunch.
All right, we got time for one more. Back on the third row.
Hey DJ, Coach Freeze mentioned Demarcus R as a freshman who, you know, he said probably isn't getting talked about enough. What have you seen from him, and you know, how do you think he can contribute this season? Yeah,
Demarcus, he's a unique skill set for his size and length and ability to run and move is pretty dynamic. You know, he played a different position in high school than he's playing right now, but I think that lends to his ability to, play multiple spots. He looks really good out in open field, open space, but he also looks good in the box because he has good length. He's a physical player, and I just think he's just scratching the surface because obviously every rep he gets is something where he's at is probably a new one for him, and so you just see him get better and learn every day out there. So he's definitely a guy that can and will contribute and help us as a freshman.